Welcome back to the channel, guys. Sorry I haven't released a video in some time. I've been really busy, but we have another developer update, so let me summarize it for you. One of the biggest upgrades coming to the game when Build 42 releases is in regards to the engine. Among these are changes I've talked about before, like the introduction of basements, the new lighting propagation, a maximum chunk height of 32, and implementing negative coordinates to expand the map in all directions. There's an additional change that's coming that hasn't been talked about yet, and that's a new way to render the game. As of right now, everything on the screen is placed in what the devs call a card deck approach. This means that each image is placed on top of each other. Additionally, this process is repeated each frame, reducing the game's optimization. Without getting too technical, the devs are implementing a new way to render the game and adding in a depth buffer. This will make it so that the game doesn't have to recreate what's on screen every frame, but only has to do so when things change. Additionally, this will improve the game's optimization and will get rid of the visual of what looks like the player clipping through fences when jumping over them or walking through light poles. There's a lot more to this, and to be honest, I'm not that big into the technical side of games, so I'm not going to go into detail, but it's a really interesting read if you want to read all about it. If you've seen some of my other videos, you may know that I've been wanting some changes to the farming system, and it looks like we're getting a small farming rework in Build 42. The farming rework will see a few changes, like crops having an optimal season to be grown in, potatoes, onions, and garlic being able to be planted instead of needing seeds, and the addition of snails, slugs, and other pests that can damage your crops. To fight off or deter these pests, the players can have chickens around their crops that will eat them, or can plant newly added herbs like rosemary around them. Farming will also see new contextual actions being implemented. Contextual actions work by entering the combat stance when the required equipment is in your primary hand. For instance, if the player has a watering bucket in their primary hand, then enters the combat stance and uses the action key, then they will water the plant in front of them. The same can be done with digging furrows if the player has a shovel in their hand, or can cut down trees if the player has an axe in hand. Another well-known addition coming to Build 42 is the Rework fishing system. I've talked about this quite a bit in recent videos, so if you want to know more about it, make sure to watch those videos. But the only new piece of information that we get about fishing is this picture, which shows a bunch of new fish. Different fish might be found in different locations, so the fish you catch in the river might be different from the fish you catch in various lakes around Knott's country. We also get a montage of different animals, which I'll play now while I talk about the upcoming changes to modding. One of the great things about Project Zomboid is the amount of mods available for the game, and this is only possible because of the Indie Stone and how they encourage modding and implement systems to make it easier for modders. This time, they added the events on Zombie Create and Load Chunk. The former will allow modders to access zombies when they first spawn in, and the latter will allow access to chunks after they are streamed in. Chunks in the current version are in a 10x10 grid, but this will change to an 8x8 grid in Build 42. Lastly, the devs talk about changes to looting, new items, and a loot log so you can check to see if items are actually spawning in the world. One of the issues the devs are currently working to resolve are bottleneck items. These are items that can be very hard to find, like a gas can, a generator magazine, and a sledgehammer. These items can restrict players from accessing parts of the game if they don't have access to them. The devs still want these items to be challenging to find, but they want them to be more accessible and can be found in more areas, including survivor houses, and they can be spawned in when annotated maps are found. To ensure that these items are spawning in, the devs are implementing a loot log that collects data on what loot is actually spawning in the game. While talking about loot, let's talk about some of the new items. We are going to see larger gas cans that can hold more gas, and a hose that is needed to siphon gas from vehicles. We are also getting lighter fluids so that you can refuel lighters, and while not a new item, cigarettes will be able to be lit from vehicle lighters, an open flame, and an appropriate stove, as well as lighters and matches. There will also be additional means for players to attend to their nicotine addiction if they have the smoker trait. Some more items that we are getting are military canteens, an entrenching tool that functions both as a weapon and a shovel, and a variety of knives including a butterfly knife, a switchblade, and a pocket knife. Another item we will get is the P38 can opener, a can opener that goes on your keyring, negating the reason to always have a standard can opener with you. Additionally, you'll be able to open cans with a knife in Build 42, though doing so will damage the knife and may injure your character. Lastly, the player will be able to use pickaxes to get rid of tree stumps and boulders. There are a lot of changes coming to Build 42, and I'm excited for all the small additional things we are getting, like new items and contextual actions, as well as the big stuff like animals and hunting. But how do you feel about this update? Tell me what you think down in the comments. Alright, I've got a lot of work to do, so I'm gonna wrap this video up. I'll try my best to release a video every week and not go on a nearly month-long break again. As always, I'll leave a link to the blog post in the description so you can read about the update yourself if you want to. Anyways, thanks for watching, and as always, have a good one.